And this is the Prime Minister, not only on his turf, but in his element. Well, he is the Prime Minister of the country, and over a decade he has travelled to all corners of the country. But this is where the Prime Minister, perhaps one dare say, is most comfortable in. This is, after all, his home. This is where he made his bones, as it were. This is where he grew as a politician, setting a record for the number of years as Chief Minister. And he's just finished 10 years as Prime Minister. So Narendra Modi is a great source of pride as a homeboy in Gujarat. The way he is perceived, the way he is received, the way he is looked at in Gujarat is very, very different. Very, very different from any other place in terms of sheer measure, sheer adulation, admiration. This is Prime Minister exactly where he wants to be today. Taking a moment there, the Prime Minister, to interact with the crowd, also something he does quite routinely. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, the Prime Minister has been seen to interact with crowds, with children. There he is now waving. Okay, he steps aside, goes towards the receiving a picture from a child, it looks like, and he's signing an autograph. Interesting. Amit Shah signaled towards the crowd. The Prime Minister walked straight there to sign an autograph for a fan, an image of the Prime Minister. He's been doing this during rallies as well. Let me bring Polomi in. Polomi, the Prime Minister taking a moment to sign some autographs for some children who've come there with portraits of the Prime Minister. This is something he loves doing. We've seen him do this in rallies, in road shows in the past as well, Polomi. The Prime Minister in his element.
Absolutely. The Prime Minister, of course, is taking some time there to interact with some of the voters and with the BJP Karyakartas as well, who is very familiar with, of course, he knows them very well. He has virtually grown in the ranks of the Bharatiya Janata Party, having worked with them, like I said earlier as well. Many of the people who are standing by here in Ranip, in Gandhinagar, are those, in fact, who are... Okay, there is a little girl who virtually just jumped over the barricade to meet with the Prime Minister. The security was pulling her away. The Prime Minister said, let her come. And he just interacted for a brief few moments with the Prime Minister. So clearly she's very excited. Her father just dropped over the barricade because she wanted to say hello to the Prime Minister. The security instantly pulled her away, and the Prime Minister saw that and he said, let her just come forward. She went, she had a few moments with the Prime Minister, possibly he asked her name, a few things possibly. And then, of course, he's now gone into the polling station, Shiv, to cast his vote. So the Prime Minister has arrived in Ranip, in Ahmedabad, to cast his ballot right now. The entire stretch of this way, which is lined and thronged with bystanders and constituents of Gandhinagar on both sides of the street. He walked that entire street, waving out to them, interacting with them, signing a few autographs, and then to the police station where he met with some of the BJP Karyakartas as well. Again, like I said, old friends of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, those who've been here working for the party for a very, very long time, those he is extremely familiar with. He interacted, had a few moments with them, and now he's gone.
Polomi, we're going to come back to you in a moment. I imagine the jammers for a moment may have interfered with Polomi's microphone. We'll try and go back to her in just a moment. Live images coming in from inside the polling station, not the polling booth itself, obviously. That is, of course, private. The Prime Minister now providing his voter slip. He has to go through the whole process like every other citizen of the country, obviously. And the Prime Minister being greeted by the electoral officials. They're all familiar with him. Everyone's so happy to see the Prime Minister early in the morning. They've probably been waiting for this moment. The Prime Minister will be now casting his vote. He'll be inked and then he will cast his vote. There are others in the polling booth as well, but obviously owing to security, the Prime Minister gets pride of place. He is an SPG protectee. You can see his security with him right outside the polling booth as well. We saw that fun moment where a little girl, was pushed over the barricade by her father. Would have been a security situation in normal course, but it looks like the Prime Minister was able to meet the little child, sign an autograph for her and interact with her. And here's the Prime Minister going through the motions inside the polling booth right before he casts his ballot. The country's Prime Minister on his home turf, Union Home Minister Amit Shah right there in the background you can see. And here's the Prime Minister now disappearing behind the shields to cast his ballot. There's Prime Minister now casting his ballot. Gujarat is a state that the Prime Minister and Home Minister have converted in large measure into a BJP fortress. A BJP fortress that is almost impregnable. The opposition, which had shown some colour in the 2017 elections, has completely failed to capitalise on that. Let's listen into the sounds and slogans for the Prime Minister right after this. With polling booth staff as he departs from the polling booth. Only the Union Home Minister and the Prime Minister's security are with him at this time as he leaves the polling booth. The Prime Minister has a full day of campaigning to do in different parts of the country, so his stay here will be brief. But for the next few minutes, we are going to see the Prime Minister interact. Let's just listen in. It looks like the Prime Minister may be speaking to the cameras. We, of course, have our cameras there, so we'll be fixed on that if he speaks. Phase 3 polling has kicked off this morning, viewer. 93 seats, including 25 of 26 in Gujarat, are going to the vote. The Prime Minister has just cast his ballot, and here he is now waving to the crowds. Let's see if there's going to be a soundbite from the Prime Minister. Possible. And we'll bring Polami back in once she's connected. Finger of the Prime Minister. The first Kodak moment of the day, the Prime Minister with his inked finger. You're going to see that everywhere on social media very, very shortly. The Prime Minister always obliging the cameras. And there's that inked finger, perhaps the most important inked finger as far as Gujarat is concerned. But work beckons. Remember, the Prime Minister doesn't have the luxury of time to spend more time in Gujarat. He'll be off very, very shortly to begin a day of campaigning everywhere else. The Prime Minister is an extremely high demand as the tallest leader in the BJP and its most vociferous campaigner. The demands on the Prime Minister's schedule and time are fearsome across states. And remember, with 4 phases left after today, the Prime Minister's time is of a huge premium.